Solo: A Star Wars Story is the latest Star Wars movie to hit cinema screens, and just as with all Star Wars movies, well, all movies in general really, Solo was not without multiple rewrites and abandoned concepts. With the release of The Art of Solo: A Star Wars Story, published by Abrams Books, we can finally get a behind-the-scenes look at some of the movie's early concepts and inspirations, as well as alternate and discarded ideas for scenes and various characters, lost throughout the production process. In this video, I'll take a look at many pieces of concept art from the movie's production, as seen in the book, and we'll also detail a number of sequences which ultimately weren't realised for the final movie. This is Solo: A Star Wars Story, The Deleted Scenes. Look, before we get into this, I'm going to throw out the obligatory spoiler warning. If you haven't seen Solo: A Star Wars Story, I'm not quite sure why you're here, why you clicked on this, because this video is certainly going to have a few mild spoilers for the movie. If you don't want spoilers, just click out of the video right now, come back to it when you've watched the movie. If you continue to watch even after this spoiler warning, it's not my fault that you have the movie spoiled for you. It's your own fault. Have some self-constraint. Let's get into it. Soul of a Twist, the prologue. While Solo begins with a short prologue taking place 3 years before the main events of the movie, Lawrence Kasdan's original outline began with a prologue set many years earlier. According to the book, Kasdan's story started with a prologue when Han was about 12, a street rat on Corellia much like Oliver Twist, and he was working for a crime boss. Early on, Corellia was more like 19th century London, overcast with lots of industrial factory smoke. When Han met Chewie. While this sequence in the final movie came very close to the pair's backstory in the original Star Wars expanded universe, a number of alternate meet-cute ideas were workshopped during the movie's production. One such idea saw Han as a factory worker, working in the Imperial factories of Corellia. There was said to be a scene where Han, along with his girlfriend, then named Qi'ra, are on the run from stormtroopers. This looks like it would have been an incredibly exciting action sequence, and one which was to end with Han being caught and sentenced to jail when he is thrown into a prison designed similarly to one featured in an early Empire Strikes Back concept art by Ralph McQuarrie. In prison, Han would end up cellmates with Chewbacca, and the two would team up to escape. This idea also saw Han and Chewie meeting Beckett in Corellia, who would assist their escape by helping them hijack an AT hauler. Another early idea saw Han and Chewbacca both enlisted by the Empire to fight on Mimban, where they would meet and bond on the battlefield before winding up in a Western bar fight against each other. ILM senior art director Aaron McBride describes the fight by saying, "I love the idea that Han would be scrappy enough to take on a Wookiee, fighting dirty to match Chewie's size and strength. The bar fight would come to an end with Han and Chewie being imprisoned on Mimban, with an alien cellmate even larger than Chewie. This was then set to lead to the pair making an escape from the prison and across the battlefields chained at the ankles." A third idea also found Han and Chewie fighting alongside each other on Mimban, but in a reverse situation where Chewie finds himself rescuing Han after he's knocked out on the battlefield. Lucasfilm design supervisor James Klein says, "I always imagined a moment where Han has been knocked out and Chewie picks him up and gets him across enemy lines or something," with McBride adding that this moment would establish a life debt, so they would be reluctantly paired together. Wookiee warriors and other troopers. For some of the early, or as the book describes them, evolving screenplays, which saw Chewbacca and the other Wookiees enslaved and fighting for the Galactic Empire, artists designed numerous armor designs for the Wookiees, including one which would see them wearing partial stormtrooper armor. They would be dubbed Wookiee troopers. While these designs were partly made to give the movie another new trooper variant, it also had a practical purpose too. As noted in the book, by covering or hiding the Wookiee faces on the battlefield, it would allow the creature effects team to not have to build quite so many articulated Wookiee faces. While a smart idea, it somewhat seems a little lazy to me, especially for a franchise that hasn't been known to cut corners in the past. I guess in the end the idea of Wookiee troopers was just a little bit too much, and perhaps a little bit silly, seeing as though they were dumped altogether. The book also sheds some light on some interesting early designs for the new troopers that made it into the movie. An original version of the Imperial Patrol Trooper, dubbed the Highway Patrol Trooper, was designed to look like a 1970s American highway patrol cop, complete with leather jacket and pants and motorcycle-inspired speeder. Co-costume designer Glenn Dillon even acknowledges that the outfit found itself inspired by the characters on the TV series Chips, which coincidentally originally aired in 1977, the same year as the original Star Wars opened in cinemas. Ultimately, this design was also shelved for being a little too on the nose and again, very silly. Dylan also goes on to say that it's always good fun to do Stormtrooper variants, and no matter how silly it certainly is a fun little picture which I'm glad is included in the book. Finally, a look at the original design for the Range Trooper is included in the book, with Glenn describing their armour as like a proto-Imperial Royal Guard, the Imperial Guards which first appeared in Return of the Jedi. These designs take on the red colour scheme as well as overall armour and helmet shape. This is one trooper I would have been very happy to see in the movie. Alien Qi'ra. This book also showcases many early designs of the movie's main characters, some of the most intriguing of which show Qi'ra originally designed as an alien. It certainly does seem kind of odd to make Han's love interest in the movie an alien, and I'm not sure it would have been something many fans would have really been able to get behind. Creature and Droid Effects creative supervisor Neil Scanlon describes the decision to ultimately settle on making Qi'ra human. We explored Qi'ra being an alien in the early days. When you look at all the characters that have been created over the years, for instance in the Star Trek franchise, you learn that you don't want to cover the actor or actress's beauty or emotional range. It's a very tough grey area. One needs to go all the way or not at all. Dino-Voss. Another character which had some pretty bizarre early concepts was the movie's big bad Dryden Vos, who was originally conceptualized as some kind of beast. One set of designs sees Vos as a half dinosaur, half bird, but Scanlon notes Han's perceived love triangle between himself, Vos and Qi'ra as the tipping point for the idea. That Qi'ra might have found feelings for Dryden, or that they might have had a relationship, started to inform the design. The idea of her going to bed with a reptilian bird started to cross the line. Dryden became majestic, handsome, and more in line with someone that Han would feel some jealousy, envy, or threat towards. So I guess it makes sense that Qi'ra was human after all. Another set of designs also saw Vos designed as a Lasat, the alien species of Zeb from Star Wars Rebels, who was in turn inspired by Ralph McQuarrie's original Chewbacca designs for A New Hope. Luckily, Lasat Vos was not to be either, with Scanlon saying all designs just ended up being wolf-like or bear-like. It was Beauty and the Beast, an area that's been done to death. Opposites often attract, but there's limits. While Voss's original incarnation saw him as some kind of beast, naturally his inhabitants was also designed to reflect his being, with original designs showing Voss's lair as a jungle fortress instead of the lavish yacht that was chosen for the final movie. Ewoks, a Star Wars story. It's no secret that Solo holds many references, cameos, and connections to the Star Wars expanded lore, but it seems one such planned connection wound up on the cutting room floor. In an effort to further tie together all three trilogies and the spin-off movies, Solo had originally planned to include Ewoks in not one but two separate scenes. An Ewok, most likely dead, was planned to be seen amongst Voss's treasure collection in a trophy cabinet alongside a pair of Sith lightsabers. And one described as feral was also planned to be seen held captive outside Lando's village compound on Vandor. While Ewoks were a cause of fan backlash around the original release of Return of the Jedi in 1983, they've since gone on to become fan favourites. I personally would love to see the return of Ewoks, but preferably ones that are not dead or in captivity. Wow, that's really heavy. Shock it up, fuzzball. Okay, I'm going to close out this video on a lighter tone and offer a brief glimpse at a discarded gag from the movie, most likely from the Lord and Miller stages of pre-production. No text is given alongside this image, but it looks like this was perhaps planned for Chewie's first time in the Millennium Falcon, a moment where his fur reacts to the electricity in the cockpit. It's a funny little image, but perhaps it might have been out of place in the movie itself. To me, it kind of feels in line with that Last Jedi kind of humour, which just really didn't work for me. And with that, we come to the end of the video. While these are just some of the highlights, at over 250 pages, The Art of Solo: A Star Wars Story offers hundreds more pieces of art and a plethora of insights into the design process of the movie. It's not the most spectacular Star Wars art book so far, as most of the art is in keeping with the movie's dirty and grungy look, but it's certainly a must-have for all Star Wars book collectors. With that, thanks for watching guys, and may the Force be with you, always. If this is your first time viewing my channel, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like this in the future, then please hit that big old subscribe button up on your screen right now and hit that like button down below. Also, don't forget to check out my many social media accounts and please consider supporting me over on Patreon. Thanks for watching everybody, I hope I'll see you all again soon. Until next time, take care and I hope you have a wonderful day.